number 12. With me on comms today, we got Newborn. How's it going?
Doing okay, ADN. How are you?
Not too bad. Let me set the runners off.
Perfect. Well, welcome on in, everybody. This is the final of our 12 qualifier matches for the Breath of the Wild any percent tournament for this year. And we've got a nice lineup of runners who are just chomping at the bit, ready to get going on their any percent runs here. On screen, you'll see Future 22, Storewide Boss 69, Pyro Sigma, and the Real Noman. But we also have, I believe, 7 other runners who are running off of the restream. And just for your reference, that is Senor Tapir, Alpha TZR, Anti, Prahaha, Onyx Ebony, and Lucamon 23. So good luck to all of our runners, and we will cross our fingers for good RNG and good execution. And it looks like we're off here. All of our runners selecting their new game text box and kicking off. And like I said earlier, this is the final of the qualifying matches. So the standings are fairly solidified by this point, but these 11 runners certainly hoping to post a good time to improve their position. The majority of our runners have completed, or the majority of the runners not participating tonight have completed their 4 races already and are sitting this one out, spectating or just taking it easy. And our top 5 at this point are, well, no real surprises here. Player 5, Xiao Xiaomi, Woolhikeson, Korox, and Trevor SR all have completed 4 races and occupying the top 5 positions. If you haven't heard, there's been some confusion about the way the qualifiers work. And my understanding, and Tapir can yell at me if I'm wrong, is that the first 4, the runners can participate in as many qualifying races as they would like, but only the first 4 they participate in count towards their score. And of those 4, the lowest score of the 3 is dropped. So whatever their lowest time is, or if they take a 0 score on a forfeit, that score is dropped. And their top 3 scores are added together to determine their how they're seeded into the 32-player bracket that we're heading towards sometime later this week or beginning of next.
You can also get a 0 on a not forfeit, which is kind of sad. I feel like it should be like a pity 50 points or something.
Yeah, it should be like
or at least finishing.
Something, right? You still beat the game.
It's all based on
right. So we see runners grabbing the Sheikah Slate and doing the first major skip of the game, which if you've watched this game before, you know. We're clipping out of the Shrine of Resurrection to skip the opening cutscene and some dialogue with Zelda, saving somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 minutes. Pyro Sigma and Noman getting really fast, clean clips, and they're both escaped back into the overworld. Storewide Boss and Future taking a little bit longer, but all runners in good position now to head towards the first Boko camp to gather some necessary materials for the any percent speedrun.
I've actually seen a couple of different orders here. I watched CBF grab the spear first before the shield, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
I wonder if that's...
I don't know all the time. I just remember seeing CBF do it once, and I thought, maybe that works more often, because I have seen a lot of runners miss the spear. So maybe it's a good idea to go for it first.
Yeah, it's a little bit of backtracking, but it may be a little bit safer in terms of you need both the spear and the shield. Otherwise, the BLSS and fall damage cancel we're about to do here will not work. So it may be safer to grab the spear first and then head for the shield.
Exactly, and on races, safety strats are pretty important.
Absolutely, and on terms of safety strats, we saw, I think, at least 3 of our runners, maybe all 4, grabbing some backup food. Several of them grabbing peppers only, and then I think I saw Future grab some Hylian shrooms as well. A couple of extra seconds of collection there can save you 30 seconds or so of a reload. So this technique, if you're not familiar with the Breath of the Wild speedrun, the technique that you're seeing the Real Noman just finishing and Pyro Sigma beginning now, Storewide Boss as well, is called a bow lift smuggle slide. And it's a relatively new glitch discovered within about the last year or so that allows runners to achieve pretty high speeds, gliding horizontally through the air using a bomb or other item to propel them in this B-lock state. Pyrosigma, unfortunately, dropping the BLSS, which happens usually by accidentally letting the control stick go neutral or perhaps
Sometimes it just
tapping it.
happens.
Yeah, it does. You might bump another button mistakenly, or it can also happen if you release the B button. So they're having to take a reload there, unfortunately. All of our runners so far getting really clean clips into the bombs shrine. With this new plateau route, the bombs clip is pretty lenient with this Temple of Time skew that they use to clip through the window there. And Noman executing a wind bomb. Wind bombs are another major movement mechanic we'll see both in shrines and out of shrines to get from place to
Yes,
place
we got
efficiently.
the BLSS there. That's like the first time I've seen it in these falls.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you miss the wind bomb and go up there, it's a lot easier to just BLSS from that platform instead of running down and throwing the bomb and blowing it up and then climbing the
Sure.
ladder.
Store-wide doing that as well, that BLSS within a shrine. Not typically, you don't see a lot of BLSSs inside of shrines, but it can be used in some cases.
Very niche cases. It's usually a backup, I'd say.
Right. Future using a different setup for that initial wind bomb, but it kind of gets them to the same spot at least, and also going for the BLSS
We
getting
get
into the shrine.
two. See how nice that is.
Very nicely done.
I'm so pleased.
All right, Sigma now inside the bomb shrine. Still plenty of time to make up ground against the other runners. So we've got our runners after completing the first shrine, which in this newer plateau route is the bombs or Jabaj shrine. Get to talk to the old man and select the optimal text boxes for the fewest number of text boxes overall. And initiating another Bowlift smuggle slide to head towards the Magnesis shrine, bypassing the tower entirely.
We don't need that.
We don't need that. Most categories you do. This category, there's no need for warping, and only 4 shrines. You can pretty easily clip into those. So that's what you're going to see our runners doing today.
Dude, that cutscene is so long.
It is, yeah. I do primarily longer categories, so I end up getting it most of the time, and it's a solid minute and a half probably detour, at least.
Yeah,
So
but
definitely one that we want to skip.
you need it for time. So, I mean, well, in longer categories. In any percent, the time is probably worse because then it rains around castle and that's not fun.
Absolutely, yeah. I think in any category where you don't need time of day for something specific, it's preferable to keep time of day inactive. Although I think it's the Shrine of Resurrection cutscene that starts the time going,
Yes,
and
but the Great Plateau Tower keeps the time going
true.
after it's like 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah, I think you're right
Yeah,
that
it's
it
some
kind of
it's
stalls
some
out.
weird it's some weird time mechanic. I was looking into it just the other day actually. And I
Hmm.
thought that was interesting that, you can start the time, but it won't continue. It just kind of stops.
So one thing that we always look for in these trial runs or these qualifiers is to see how safe or how risky the runners play it. There is a wind bomb that can be done in the bomb shrine, but Noman, who is in the lead currently, is electing to just play it safe and run through the shrine. If you see him blow himself up with a bomb there at the end, that is a fast technique to remove glitched ragdoll state, which is a byproduct of the shield clip to get into the shrine. If he would not clear glitched ragdoll state, the next trick that you'll see shortly, where our runners are going to wind bomb off a tree up into the stasis shrine, would fail the first time, unfortunately. Store-wide boss also running through the shrine in a pretty typical manner. So this BLSS that Noman is initiating just now is certainly in my opinion, the trickiest one because he's going to have to aim pretty precisely and go straight up this ramp. And it's really, really easy for the ramp to just absolutely kill all your speed.
Or you
He
hit a
doesn't
tree and it starts to be pinball.
that too, or hitting one of the kind of corners of the slope itself, the wall there, and you just get stopped all your momentum. But Noman navigating that really smoothly. And I'm going to wind bomb out of this tree. Very nicely done. That one's always a little scary because it's such a high cliff that you're going up to, but he handled that beautifully.
And we get to watch Storewide do the same.
Mm-hmm. Also looking very clean.
I think Storewide uses the other tree. Yeah, Storewide uses this tree instead.
Interesting that he's electing to grab 2 apples there.
They're for the horse. Please be for the horse.
Gotta feed that horse in the end, right?
Yeah.
So Pyro Sigma setting up to do what is often called Canal Wind Bomb, but makes some sort of mistake in the setup. I didn't see exactly what went wrong there, and the Wind Bomb fails. But fortunately, rather than getting launched and landing in a bad spot and dying, he escapes with a quarter heart of damage and is able to complete the shrine without taking a death.
I hadn't watched what happened on Nomans, but I believe something very similar did.
No one, it looked like didn't go for it, but I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right, actually.
I didn't see something kind of funky happen
Oh,
with
didn't drop the
Future.
square. That's what happened to Pyro. That makes
Oh, I see. That can happen if you're trying to put inputs or do inputs quickly. I'm very confused as to what Future is. I didn't think I saw them complete Magnesis, but maybe I just mixed
I
up
think
my
we're
streams.
focused on I think we're focused on Noman and Storewide.
Yeah. Certainly both of them in the lead at this point. Storewide opting not to go for the fairly risky Stasis Wind Bomb.
Nah, Noman did go for it and got it.
Or sorry, Storewide not going for the Wind Bombs. Noman, yeah.
Yeah,
But
you got that right. You got that right.
Oh,
I was
okay.
saying that Noman did do it, and so that kind of accounts for a little bit of a lead now.
For sure. It always surprised me. You can see Pyro Sigma, their stamina bar is, or their stamina wheel is not reset. Curiously, being out of stamina does not prevent you from being able to BLSS effectively. I always thought that was kind of strange, but it seems to work.
Yeah, it's because you're not being registered as walking or moving, so you technically don't use any stamina.
Yeah, the game.
Though it's bad to not have stamina if you're really high in the air and you need to pull your glider or something after you leave the BLSS.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Noman opts to go for the standard cryo clip as opposed to the extended shield clip and has a little bit of trouble there. Might allow Storewide and some of our other runners an opportunity to gain some ground on him. I'm wondering if we'll see either Future or Pyro Sigma go for the BTB to Cryonis. BTBs are one of the old movement techs that are still used in some runs, but have largely been replaced by BLSS in many cases. And most runners these days opt for the BLSS from the tree stump to get from stasis to cryo. Still a few runners out there who are part of the cryo BTB gang, though.
We might see one.
Or wide also with a nice clean stasis clip. Also opting for the standard clip as opposed to ESC. So here we're going to see Pyro Sigma go for the stasis wind bomb. This one is, in my opinion, a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving than Canal Wind Bomb and Magnesis, and he nails that trick wonderfully. The type of wind bomb there is called a turn wind bomb because after the bombs are dropped, runners use the bow to turn their angle which allows them to take a flatter and faster trajectory through the air. Noman is now finished up with the 4 plateau shrines and is going to be the first to at least begin travel to the Temple of Time to achieve or retrieve the paraglider from the old man. Almost done with our old man cutscenes.
I think it counts as both.
Yeah. Looks like Future might be going for the BLS or the BTB here. Oh, no. The angle of the boulder made me suspect they were going to the BTB spot. But looks like we're getting the standard old BLSS.
Yep. I highly doubt we will see it. Oh, that was so close to the hole!
That was scary.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, Future dropping that BLSS there looked like had kind of a wonky step-up angle.
God, no redemption, BTB. I mean, it's fair. You lose a lot of time if you have to reload. If you drop a BLSS, you kind of just do it again. So it's not as bad as a whole reload. I get it.
If you saw Pyra Sigma there, that was what we call the extended shield clip, which allows them to do 1 clip straight through the door of the shrine rather than 2 clips, 1 through the wall of the shrine and then again into the elevator.
Oh, the spear. I guess you don't need it, actually.
True, yeah. I think most runners throw the spear intentionally.
Yeah, the only time you don't throw it is if you want it for IST.
I suppose so, yeah. With Hui-Wen not running tonight, I don't think we're going to see anything quite that crazy. So this is the last, as this is the last qualifier, it's the last race that is required to be no amiibo. And given that it is a no amiibo race, we see Noman heading towards this little ridge just past the Torii Mountain where he's going to collect 3 or 4 razor shrooms that he will use to cook his attack up food to make the boss rush efficient. And really, I mean, honestly, it's what makes the boss rush possible with the weapons that we collect. 4 razor shrooms, it looks like, along with an acorn.
Nice. Oh, these chews always get in the way.
Yeah, the choo-choos, sometimes you get lucky and they don't spawn, but they certainly can pose some troubles in terms of Link's auto-targeting system, making it difficult to start the BLS slide.
And they jump at you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're the big chews, so you can't stop them with 1 hit.
Well, right, and at this point we don't have any weapons really to effectively deal with those. The arrows they need, and the bow they have is weak, and Noman still has the spear, but that's not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of runners about it, and a few people have attempted strategies against it, but there's nothing really consistently keeping those chews away just yet.
At the mercy of the RNG gods, unfortunately.
Do be like that.
They do. Noman getting the unloaded gate, which is very nice, and we're now he's now beginning his collection phase to prepare and gear up for the boss rush. So he's gonna, after the cutscene clears, gonna sneak strike this moblin and steal his Royal Guards Claymore. He just picked up the Royal Claymore that was behind him. And those are the first 2 weapons that'll do a good deal of the damage to our Blights and to Calamity Ganon.
I love watching Future do the wind bombs with the hammer.
Yeah, the hammer makes it different for sure. And that actually would be if Future gets ambushed by the chews, the hammer probably is enough.
That might help actually.
Power to deal with that, yeah, for sure. It always amazes me, these runners who can come in to a completely unloaded, untextured castle and still know the exact spot where to jump through to glide down to grab that claymore.
Yep. I also like seeing. You saw when Noman went behind the Moblin, he opted to not headshot, but Storewhite did headshot the Moblin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see which runners like opt for that headshot and which ones rather save their arrow.
Yeah, the arrow really shouldn't be needed, but it might be just that little bit of safety that one might be good to have, just in case you need an extra 50 or so, 75 points of damage against Calamity to get him to push him over the phase 2 threshold. Noman opting for the inbounds 6 Ancient Arrow route, generally considered to be the safer, slightly slower of the 2 castle routes. We'll see what Storewide and the others do. The out-of-bounds route is certainly faster, but involves a somewhat risky mid-air wind bomb that can easily cost you a reload. It looks like he's going to go for the scope clip out of bounds. This clip out of bounds is very similar to the Shrine of Resurrection clip, same mechanics at play.
In the last tournament, last year's tournament, this was very rough. We didn't really have consistent wind bombs to get through, so it was a lot of guesswork sometimes, and then you get stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember in the I don't remember if it was still in qualifiers or in bracket play, but that was when runners first started to really seriously implement the new plateau route, the bombs first plateau route.
Oh yeah, well, the runners learned it during. You'd have seen them run the plat antique, as CBF likes to call it, and then they'll practice for a week or so. In their next match, it's new plat. And that was really fun to see.
Really
all
interesting
routes head to head.
The Noman's finished his castle movement and weapons collection and just executed, or is executing a trick we call Windblight Skip. And he got it. So the way that trick works, I'm assuming that most of you who've watched this run before know all about it, but the arrow gets suspended in the cutscene when Link enters. There's a very specific setup that you see Storewide doing right now. And the setup basically allows for the arrow to continuously damage Windblight during the cutscene, and if it's done appropriately, takes away all of his HP and lets you skip straight on to Waterblight.
Fun fact, it works with an ancient arrow. Oh no.
Oh, looks like some Lizalfos troubles there, huh?
Yeah. They heard him and came down.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot that you can do about that, unfortunately. Sometimes they just hear you, and it's not necessarily a mistake made. I remember reading or hearing that having DLC installed...
Oh, good autosave though.
That is good. Picking up the Fang there probably was a good move, because it forced the autosave. But I've heard that the DLC being installed puts an extra chest in that room, and if it loads in before the rest of the room does, it can fall and put the...
Oh, it makes noise. Oh man, I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's one of the Royal Guards equipment that's in that chest.
Yeah, I think one of the armor pieces.
Oh no. Pyro's not having a good time out here.
Oh dear. Oh no. So if I know the way that autosaves work in this game, I'm guessing it'll put him right back where he reloaded previously.
Oh well, yeah,
at that Fang chest.
You're probably right. There was a second chest, but the autosave is probably too close. Oh,
okay. Not so bad.
Oh no. We jinxed it!
We did. I think it looks like the issue perhaps is with using the circle bomb, which is getting knocked out of the way. Most runners use the square bomb, which will stay in place a little bit more reliably.
Yeah.
So we see Noman and Storewide well into their lights phase by this point. Noman entering Thunderblight phase 2, everything looking pretty clean so far. And Storewide getting the fast cycle for Fireblight phase 2, which is not easy to do. It's a sign that you really know what you're doing, I think, when you're able to get that pretty consistent. And
Well, you even see like other runners run like people are like I guess people who have run any percent a lot, like still not get fast by the cycles. So it's a tough one.
It's very, very easy. There's an element of RNG to it, but there's also, some pretty technical execution pieces as well, I think. Right, Noman executing the opening flurry rush on Calamity Ganon. These fights are so tightly scripted. In the old castle route, where you didn't know exactly how many arrows or what type of arrows, there was an element of improvisation that these days a lot of that improvisation is gone.
Oh yeah, sometimes you'd be lucky to get like 20 fire arrows or something. I remember that.
Frustrating to have so much of the fight, or so much of the success of the fight rely on that element of arrow RNG. Really, really clean phase 1 for Noman. Hopefully Calamity cooperates and gives an instant laser here. Okay, we're gonna get a melee attack. There's the laser, okay. What we really want to see, or what we really want to avoid seeing, is Calamity going to the wall, which requires parrying one of his wall attacks, which can be pretty darn tricky and slow.
Or a bomb arrow.
That too, yeah. Although in phase 2, even the bomb arrow won't do it. He's got his little invincibility shield up. Storewide also finishing up phase 1. Very, very.
We got Pyro starting it up.
Noman's stun lock is looking very, very smooth here. Should finish with this cycle. Perfectly done. Oh, no.
Oh, man.
I didn't see that directly, but it looked like missed laser parry, perhaps? Either way, that's super, super unfortunate because the game doesn't save your progress after beating the Blights. You have to go back to the beginning and defeat the Blights all over again. So that's really unfortunate for Storewide. Future getting a very nice wind bomb here up to the bridge at Zelda Study, where they're going to collect the final weapons, the Edge of Duality that the Moblin is holding, and then the Royal Guard's Bow, which is needed for the Wind Blight skip trick we were talking about earlier. And Sigma here, working on Water Blight Phase 2, which revolves around getting clean headshots and then spin attack with the Royal Guard's, or not the Royal Guard's Claymore, the Royal Claymore, excuse me.
Well, I'm hoping that Water Blight doesn't fall on the stairs or something.
True, true, true.
Seen that happen too many times.
Mm-hmm. Noman very graciously obliging and giving us the Calamity butt shot.
Nice.
Well done, Noman. Got to get that RNG manip. I hear the run's invalid if you don't shoot the butt, so...
That sounds true. Alright, clean Wind Blight skip from Storewide.
Future, just one thing to point out here is that Future is using a relatively new, I want to say maybe in the past month or so, some runners have switched to this different wind bomb setup rather than going out and standing on the crenellation of the bridge, going a little bit lower and closer in the Moblin chamber, which is a little bit easier to get to. Doesn't save a whole lot of time, but certainly some. A couple of seconds, perhaps. And Noman looking for the final shot here. Airborne, waiting for Dark Beast to open up his eye. And there it is. GG, Noman. That's a really impressive time. 28:21, 28:17 in race time, which is going to end up being about a 27:10 according to leaderboard timings.
Not bad at all.
Really, really well done. All right, we see Sigma throwing the boomerang to break Thunderblight's shield there. I think that specific action of breaking the shield is really the only reason why we need that boomerang, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, it doesn't serve a whole lot of function. We got Prahaha replacing the real Noman in the bottom right corner of your screen. Prahaha looking to finish up.
Well, GG's to Alpha.
Oh, GG's Alpha. One of our off-stream runners. Prahaha unfortunately missed the Royal Guard's Claymore throw, and is going to have a little bit of damage to make up from that. Looking to get a Flurry Rush here. Wisely backing away from those, the blue hands. Oh, dear.
Oh, man. That's a
difficult death from Prahaha.
Looks like Onyx is finishing up. This is the part where I get busy.
Yeah. Swapping out all of our runners. Nice job, by the way. Oh, Pyro. Okay, Pyro took a little bit of, it looked like splash damage from Calamity Laser, but survives that, fortunately. Got a heart left. Seems a little bit disoriented, maybe. Any more splash damage from the fire attacks will likely kill him, so he's got to be really careful here to not take any more damage. Dorwide landing some very nice headshots here.
Alright, GG Onyx.
Indeed, GG Onyx. 30-48, so roughly 29-40 leaderboard timing. Pyro Sigma also looking like the damage caught up with him. Taking a death. Store-wide boss also. I didn't see what happened there.
I did not either.
It looked like phase 1 was going very smoothly, so I that's really discouraging. It's such a mental hurdle, I think, to overcome. Especially to take 2 deaths there, to have to go back and restart the boss rush from the beginning, re-execute Wind Blight Skip. Got Lukamon on screen now, who's finishing up Water Blight. Looks like Tapir off screen has finished. GG Tapir. Right, Lukamon having a little timing issue. It looks like not getting the slam attack that knocks Fire Blight down, but quickly improvising to throw the boomerang to get enough damage to push to phase 2. Nice thinking there. Oh, Future's in a tough spot here.
Oh!
Ouch.
You called it! You can't say stuff like that!
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Future, my apologies.
The last call, we can't get away with it here either.
I know.
Luckily, at this point, this is a fun run for at least some of them.
Right. Pepe hands, indeed, Alpha. Yeah, when you get Thunderblight Phase 2 should go really smoothly if you've done Phase 1 correctly, but if anything goes sideways, it can be really, really hard to recover from.
We've got 2 at Thunderblight now.
Yes, we do.
It's definitely going to go sideways.
Phase 1 looking pretty clean for anti-Lukamon, having to throw the boomerang a couple times. Hopefully they get good pattern Phase 2. 4 hits with Anti's Boomerang, and then a spin attack with the Edge of Duality. And Anti will enter the Calamity Arena now, hoping for a good Calamity fight. Lucamon as well, successfully completing Phase 2. Nice job.
See, all we gotta do is say that it's gonna go bad. So both of these Calamities are gonna go really, really bad.
Future, they're just eating the attack up food right before shooting the arrow for Windblight Skip. I don't want to say how many times I've failed Windblight Skip by accidentally forgetting to eat my attack.
This is so fun to watch Auntie and Luke do this, like, right next to each other.
Right? They're so close to each other in time. So for the Calamity fight, you're usually going to see often an opening Flurry Rush, although some runners choose not to do that. Running to the bomb arrows to collect those, spamming as many bomb arrowhead shots as possible. When the laser comes in, parry the laser, spin attack with the Royal Guard's Claymore, and throw the Royal Guard's Claymore, and then unload those ancient arrows. And you hope that's enough to push him to Phase 2. And unfortunately, looks like Pyro Sigma has forfeited.
I don't have a 3-player layout, so we're stuck here.
We're stuck with it. Hopefully, Pyro has 3 good enough scores to where this one won't cost him anything in the standings.
Wait, I have an idea.
Lucamon getting a fireball to parry. Oh no. That fireball sometimes comes at you so slowly, and you have enough time to think about it and psych yourself out. It's one that is definitely flubbable. I've done that myself. Sigma clarifies it was his 5th run, so mostly just for fun. Good deal there. Anti finishing Calamity and heads off to the Dark Beast.
Now.
Well, GG's regardless to Sigma and Lucamon. Glad you joined us, even if it didn't, even if it was a for fun, not a first seeding match. So it looks like we're going to see Anti going through Dark Beast and Future continuing the boss rush after a difficult death here. Hoping the best for them. One would hope, but deaths during Dark Beast
Have happened. At least twice. Which is 2 times more than I thought.
I'm sure this has been commented on every run, but the hitboxes on these Dark Beast Triforce medallions that appear are so I'm really giving Anti a hard time.
Well, there have been multiple 80% world records where one of these shots have been missed.
Sure.
We gave Jesse such a hard time for missing one of them like 4 times in the world record run.
Yeah, I noticed that Jesse unfortunately not participating this year.
Yeah, we got a few really good runners that probably just didn't have the time, or...
It's true. It is a pretty big time commitment, and for some runners, the kind of feeling obligated is draining.
And I know a lot of the runners only have like a particular time of day to be able to do runs. So
yeah. I suppose real life has to take priority at some point.
Ew, yeah.
Alright, we're going to avoid the commentator curse by assuring you that Future's Thunderblight is going to go really, really badly. I'm quite certain of it.
It's going to be...
Right, you can see there, getting through phase 1. Anti preparing for this final shot. The final shot can be obnoxious sometimes because more times than I would care to admit, I've lost my horse or gone into bullet time too early before the eye is actually open, or had the tusk block that shot and then you lose 30 seconds or something silly.
Yeah, or you fly too close to the sun. Streamer fun fact, I always try to pause like right here, but I miss it very often.
Future having a little bit of a different fight routing for that second phase, relying pretty much exclusively on the boomerang. But it worked out for him. Now unloading 6 ancient arrows, and you can see the power of the ancient arrows when combined with the Royal Guard's bow. I mean, took Calamity's health down by a quarter just through those 6 shots. Okay, grabbing bomb arrows and now starting to land those headshots. Picking up the Royal Claymore that will be used for the stun lock. Having a little bit of trouble with that laser parry, unfortunately. It can be hard to transition from headshot to get that the shield pulled. We'll see what they do here. Future was certainly hoping to finish a run and earn some points to wipe out a 0 off of their third best score.
I think it's just gonna be 0. But
it's looking that way.
I'm pretty sure, based on how things are have gone, I think everyone qualifies still.
I think that's true.
GG Alpha and Anti.
Yeah, GG, welcome in, guys.
Thank you.
Anti, you were here at first. I think you want to talk us through. You ran most of your run off of our restream, so I'm curious to hear how the highlights, lowlights, anything that stood out from your run.
So I was about maybe like a minute or 2 behind at when I got to the boss rush. My PB, since just mistakes happen, and then I beat every single boss and then got to Ganon. I got the parry on phase 2 and started the stun lock, and then my brain just decided to let go of the spin too early and then die. So Link just thought it was so fun fighting all Calamity and all the Blights the first time.
Right.
That he just decided to do it again.
So fun, you gotta do it again.
We do see that somewhat often. More often than I'd like to see.
Unfortunately, a lot of boss rush deaths tonight that we saw. So you're certainly not alone in having some struggles with the bosses.
Tonight, Qual 7, Qual 8. There's been a rush. A lot of them. So
there have been.
Definitely not alone.
Welcome in, Storeway, by the way. GG on your run.
Thank you.
Alpha, what stands out from your run? If you think back, what were you really happy with? What was frustrating for you?
Well, I'll start with the highlights. I golded Blights and Calamity back to back, which was I mean now I know my Blight's gold is improvable, and got a 135 Calamity, so pretty good. The only real setbacks were bombs. I got a 440 and I missed one Blight skip. Other than that, run was very solid. So I'm really happy with it. That's my best race time by far.
Yeah, that's 135 Calamity is very impressive. So well done there.
Yeah, thank you.
Feels really good to gold a couple of back-to-back splits in a race setting for sure.
For sure.
Starwhite, how about you? What were you pleased with your run?
Everything except the obvious stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly thought that run went like the best that it could have up until phase 2 laser. But that was a good humbling moment That was good. Because the whole time I was like, man, I'm really ahead. Maybe this is a 27. Maybe I could finish first. Maybe I could bump up. And then I was like, no, don't think like that. And then sure enough, yeah.
There you go. It all comes crashing down in a second.
I think I was like 1 frame early on the parry there. So good humbling moment.
And had you gotten instant laser as well?
Yes, I did get instant laser.
No. Oh man, that's rough. Wow.
Mm.
So heading into bracket play, which is the next thing up on the docket, how does your mentality or how do your strats change? Do you play things a little bit differently, or does it kind of depend on maybe who you're matched up with? How do you see things shifting for you as you head in away from qualifiers and into bracket play?
Well, I for one, I think I'm going to be playing it pretty much the same. I was using the qualifiers sort of to kind of figure out what I want my strats to be, and I think I've got it in a pretty good place. I want to play it fairly safe. Unless I'm facing like a really high profile opponent, which hopefully won't happen until the later rounds. I think I'll play it pretty safe.
Yeah, I think the quals were just for me to de-rust, get back into it, get my route square, and change basically as little as possible going forward. Just try to optimize the route that I already have as much as possible.
Sure. Very nice. Have you
Yeah,
guys been... Oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing similar stuff, but my main thing is just gonna be practicing bosses. I've died to bosses in 2 out of 4 qualifiers, so 50% beating bosses rate, I suppose, isn't that good. So I'm just gonna be practicing them and hoping my opponent dies to bosses.
Yeah, you never want to put yourself in a position where you're counting on an opponent death, so for sure that practice will pay off big for you. Runners, have you been keeping track of the standings? Do you have a feel for what seed you're going to be heading into bracket play at, or have you been mostly ignoring that and just trying to focus on the races at hand?
I saw earlier today I was 10th, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to stay there. Yeah, I think that's just where I'm seated.
Yeah, I think they're updated now. So with that last time took me up a lot. So I feel like I did really well in the qualifiers, and I'm happy to be as high as I am, because I definitely did not expect to do as well as I did. Obviously, happy to see it.
Yeah,
that's actually a good point. I feel like if I finished that run, like if I didn't die to Kalam, I probably would have bumped up, but because of that death, I'm staying where I am. So it'll be interesting to see how, little things like that can matter so much in the bigger picture.
Just one input costs you
that
much.
An early A press.
Mm-hmm.
The story of any percent right there. Little things that matter a whole lot, right?
That is true.
Well, runners, GG's, and congratulations on completing your qualifiers. Best of luck as we head into match play, which hopefully will begin without too much delay.
It should be I think a week or so. We usually don't take too long. I know we're trying to push these out as fast as possible, so we'll have the bracket updated at some point and races soon. For now, nothing on the schedule.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how there's only 30 folks who ran in qualifiers, and so typically a bracket would be like 32 people. So I'm wondering if they'll just give the top 2 seeds buys out of the first round, or how they decide to handle that.
Looking at the bracket, it looks like the bottom 10 seeds, so the last 10 people, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I can count. We'll have to play an extra round. Everyone else will get a bye round and start at round 2.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That way it rewards those who got a higher seed. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then even if you didn't get a higher seed, you just gotta, fight an extra round. And the tournament is still double elimination, so even if you lose that one, you're still in. Get to move through the losers bracket, and we have had some people wreck through the losers bracket and then take it all. So
we have.
It is absolutely possible.
Still anybody's tournament.
Also, update. Apparently I was very wrong about my placement. Not 10, 14.
That's fine. I think that's still top 10. Or,
Close enough. Just
bottom
upper half at least.
Let's just round down to like first maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal, right? Well, congratulations to all of you. Race well run, and best of luck as we head into bracket play.
Yeah, GG's everyone.
GG's.
Yep. And then thank you, Newborn, for coming, and thanks ADN for putting it all together.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
Alright, so we will go ahead and raid our friend Power Gamer Kai, who is currently grinding plat. If you wanted to see some different strats, Kai has been really instituting some cool like BTT techniques, so fun to watch. Thanks so much, everyone.